In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a clean and professional looking website like the one you're seeing here in just 1 hour. Whether you're looking to make some money and build a website for a client, or you need a website for your service-based business, or your affiliate marketing business, or your freelancing portfolio, or for e-commerce and selling products online. Whatever the case may be, this video is going to be your step-by-step guide to build any kind of website, even if you're a complete beginner to web design. We're going to be using free tools like Wordpress and Elementor, which makes the web design process as simple as clicking and dragging elements onto the screen like images, videos, buttons, icons, and so much more. We're going to customize everything to your liking, from the font to colors and the layout of your website. Then, once you're happy with the design, you can publish the website to the world in just one click of a button. It's really that easy. So if you're ready, follow along with me and let's build your website in just 1 hour, starting with step number 1, which is to get your very own custom domain name and web hosting. A domain name is just the address to your website. It's what people will enter into the search bar to find your site. So something like yourwebsite.com. And web hosting is just renting space on a server somewhere that's connected to the internet so you can store all of your media and files on your site. There are web hosting companies that have buildings full of these servers, and they also offer you 24/7 support in case anything happens to your website. If you want to own your own website and have a custom domain name for it, then you have to purchase your own web hosting, which I'm going to show you how to do in this tutorial. And I'm going to give you a massive discount code to get the lowest price possible. Yes, you can get a free website, but it does come with a lot of limitations. Like, you won't own your own domain name. It'll just be something like yourwebsite.wix.com or squarespace.com or whoever's hosting your website. Or it might even be a random string of letters and numbers that you don't even get to choose. You also can't upload new themes in order to customize your website exactly the way you want to. You can't upload plugins to increase the functionality of your website. You can't monetize your website with ads in order to make money from it. And your website could be deleted at any time because you don't technically own it. So for these reasons, I recommend web hosting because it places you in control. In order to get your domain and hosting, just click on the very first link in the description, or you can go to createaprowebsite.com/hosting, and it'll take you to a page like this. By clicking on my affiliate link, which I receive a commission from, you're going to receive that massive discount on your web hosting plan, so I strongly recommend it. So from here, you're just going to click on Buy Now, and then it's going to take you down to the 3 plans that we have with HostGator. So we've got the hatchling plan right here, the baby plan, and the business plan. And we're actually going to be going with the hatchling plan for this video. So we're getting a single website, and another important thing that we get with HostGator, which is why I love using them, is you get a free SSL certificate included with your hosting package. And so this is actually the encryption for your website. So that's what's going to give you this little lock symbol up here saying that your connection is secure. Without an SSL, of course, it's just going to say not secure and people won't want to stay on your website. So I'm going to click on Buy Now. All right, and here's where you can choose your very own custom domain name for your website. So this is your URL right here. If you already have a domain name, you can go ahead and click on this tab right here. But for this video, I'm going to create my own. So you can type in whatever you want. So I'm going to try Mixed by Antonio, because for this website, I'm making a portfolio site, but I'm going to pretend like I'm building this for a client, and that client is going to be an audio engineer. Now over here, you can see the .com right here, so you can click on this and then do a drop down. But as soon as you click out of the search bar, it's going to highlight green, and that means that the domain name that you chose is available. If it highlights red, that means that you're going to have to try different variations, or you won't be able to use the .com. You'll have to use something else like a .club, .site, .net, or anything else. You can click on them down here, or you can just change it over here. So you have 2 ways of doing that. I recommend going with a .com though, because they're the most common and most professional looking. So I usually stick to these. So now that we have our domain name or our URL, I'm going to go ahead and scroll on down to the next part. But before we get to 2, we've got domain privacy protection. Now, domain privacy protection essentially just protects your personal information from the public view. When you create a website, you're going to have a whole bunch of telemarketers and solicitors who are going to try and sell different services for your website. It's a ton of emails and phone calls that you want to avoid, so always leave the domain privacy protection enabled. It just saves you a huge headache later on down the road. So you can uncheck the box right here, but I'm going to leave it checked for this video. Next is number 2, which is choose a hosting plan. And so they're basically letting you choose between the hatchling, baby, or business plan again. But again, we're sticking with the hatchling plan. Over here on the right side is your billing cycle. And so this is where you can choose how often you want to be billed for your hosting plan. It's important to keep in mind also that your domain registration is for 1 year. So you could do the 12 months here, which is obviously 1 year. And then you're going to get billed for your hosting plan as well as your domain registration at the same time. Also keep in mind that all of these months you're paying for upfront. So if I select the 36 months and scroll on down, you're going to notice that it's a lot more expensive because I'm paying for all 36 months upfront. So I'm going to scroll on down here to number 3, which is to create your HostGator account. And so all you have to do is enter in your email address, a password, and a security pin. All right, guys, so after creating your account, the next step is to enter in your billing information. And so it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, you're just going to enter in your personal information here. So the next section is to add additional services. And so basically these are additional services on top of paying for your domain name registration and your hosting that you can pay for to do extra things for your website. So like site backups. So just in case your site goes down, you can back up your website, or site lock essentials. But I actually have videos on my YouTube channel that show you how to do all of these for free yourself. So I'm actually just going to uncheck both of these. So that's 3 times 12, which is going to be about 12, 24, 36. So $36 billed annually. And then also for this one, $3.99 billed monthly. So that's saving you a lot of money for your website. Let's go ahead and scroll on down to the next part. Enter your coupon code. So if you went to the link createaprowebsite.com/hosting, it's automatically going to infill this coupon code. But if not, just go ahead and type it in. Create a pro website. So now let's review our order details. You'll see that you have your domain registration and then your hosting plan. So it's 2 separate things. So the domain registration went from $17.99 all the way down to $4.99. So there's that discount from the coupon code. The hatchling plan went from $10.95 down to $7.67. And then your hosting add-ons, this $14.95 is your domain privacy protection. It looks like the amount due is $29.10. So that's actually pretty cheap for your first website, if it is your first, but let's go ahead and move on. So I'm going to agree to the terms of service and stuff and click on checkout now. Now HostGator is just going to take a moment to set up your account. So we're just going to give it a little bit. All right, so it finished loading. So we're going to go over here and click on view your dashboard. And it's going to take you to your HostGator dashboard. Now from here, you'll be able to see the new domain name that you just purchased right here. But as you can see, I've got a few of them. And so I'll click on view more and you'll be able to see the other packages that I have. And so this one is mixedbyantonio.com right there. So I'll go back to the dashboard. All right, so step number 1 is complete. We just purchased our domain name and our hosting. So we're ready to go ahead and move on to step number 2, which is to install WordPress. In order to install WordPress, we're going to go right over here under Control Panel, under the new domain name that you just purchased, and click on Install WordPress right here. Now, obviously, I have a different domain name, so I'm going to have to go ahead and click on View More right here. And this is the exact same thing. So I'm going to click on Manage. And then from here, I can click on Install WordPress. It's the exact same thing. I just want to make sure that I click on Install WordPress for the correct domain name right here. So if you had clicked on Install WordPress at the beginning where I told you, it would take you to the exact same place as me. And so from here, we're just going to click on Install Now right here. So for software setup, again, just make sure it's going to the correct domain name. So Mixed by Antonio is the one that I just purchased. Go over to site settings, and we've got the site name and site description. And so what this is, let me go ahead and open a new tab for you guys and just go to HostGator. So if someone were to search your website and it looks like this, you'll have the site name right here. And then this is the site description right here. So that's what we're creating right now. So I'm going to close this. So my site name could be something like, and then my site description, I could go ahead and type out a little mini description, but I'm too lazy. But this is where you would do it. Okay, so now on the right-hand side, we've got the admin account. And so the admin account is the admin username and password. This is the account that you're gonna log into every single time that you wanna edit your website on the back end. So I'm gonna just go ahead and create my own. For my username, I'm just gonna use my name, Levi. All right, and then you've got your admin email. You're gonna wanna go ahead and delete that and then enter in whatever email you want to be linked to your website as the admin. All right. And then we can scroll on down for plugins and advanced options and themes. I'm going to show you how to do all of this once we get inside of WordPress. So we're just going to skip past all of these and click on install. And now WordPress is going to go ahead and install to that domain name. Okay, perfect. So now you can see that congratulations, the software has successfully installed, and that is WordPress. So it's going to give you something really important right here. Just as important as your admin username and password, this is your administrative URL. So this is the URL that you're going to go to every single time you want to edit your website. It's just going to be your domain name, mixedbyantonio.com/wp-admin. And so WP is for WordPress and you're the admin. So that's what you're logging into. Let's go ahead and just open this up on a new tab and see what happens. Perfect. So you're going to see something that looks like this. Your connection is not private, or it could say something else, or this page doesn't exist. All of those are completely fine. Don't worry. It just means that your site has to propagate first. What that means is what HostGator is doing is taking the new domain name that you just purchased, and it's going to send it to every single server in the entire world and let everyone know that you just purchased it and it's live. Now, this process can take some time. It could take only 30 minutes. It could only take a few minutes, but sometimes it can go up to an entire day. So all you have to do is just kind of keep coming back to your computer to your administrative URL. So I'll just leave it on a page like this, and then click on refresh over and over again just throughout the day until you come to a page that looks like this. And that's it. So now you've installed WordPress to your website. So now it's time to move on to step number 3, which is to activate a new theme. Within your WordPress dashboard, this is where you're going to edit your website the most. So the first thing we're going to do is go over here to the left-hand side for appearance, hover over it, and then you're going to click on themes. All right, so this is the themes page. From here, we're going to go over here and click on add a new theme. And that new theme is going to be called Astra. Now, for me, it shows up right here on the front because Astra is very well known and lots of people use it, including myself. But if it's not here, you can just go over to the search bar right here and search for Astra just like this, and you'll see it pop up. So I'm going to click on install and then activate. Perfect. So now you'll see that the active theme is Astra and it's no longer the 2022 default theme. Now that we've done that, we can move on to step number 4, which is to install plugins. So to install plugins, I'm going to go back to the main dashboard and close out of that tab. You can also just click on dashboard right here and it brings you back. So from our WordPress dashboard, I'm going to go over to the left-hand side again, hover over plugins, and then I can click on add new. I'm going to open it on a new tab. Now, this add plugins page right here, you could think of it essentially as the App Store or like Google Play or something like that. These are essentially applications that you can download onto your website to do additional functionality, like they can do different things. So we're going to install 2 different plugins. The first one we're going to use to add different widgets to the page builder, and then the second one is a templates plugin. The first one I'm going to do is called Essential Add-ons for Elementor. Perfect. And you'll see it pop up as the first one right here, Essential Add-ons for Elementor. Now, Elementor is the page builder that we're going to be using to completely design the website. So we're going to click Install Now, and then click on Activate. Now, once you click Activate, it's going to take you away, so we're going to have to go back to the plugins page and then click on Add New again. We're going to go over to Search Plugins, and this time we're going to search Starter Templates, just like this. All right. Now, this is Astra Starter Templates. I'm going to click on Install Now and activate. All right, so those are the only 2 plugins that we're gonna manually install because I wanted to show you guys, if we go over to installed plugins and scroll on down, you'll see the plugin called Starter Templates right here. We're gonna go ahead and click on See Library, and then you'll just click on Build Your Website Now. Now it's gonna ask which page builder you're gonna use because there are multiple, but we're gonna be using Elementor for this tutorial. So I'm gonna click on this one. And now you're going to have a ton of different website templates that you can select from. Some of them are free and some of them come with the paid version of this plugin. I'm only going to use the free version, of course. And we're actually going to select a template right now. So I'm going to go over to personal sites and we're looking for a portfolio site, but there was a site that I saw in the musicians tab that I actually liked even more. So I'm going to click on this one and we'll customize it to be our own, of course. So you'll see this one called Musician. You'll see Mercy Law right here in the front. All you have to do is click on it, and it's going to open up a preview of the website. And so now we can scroll through the entire website, and I think it looks super cool. Now, we're actually going to be downloading this template, so let's go ahead and go through the steps over here on the left-hand side. Now, we can just install the template as is, but Astra is going to give us a couple options to customize it while we're importing it so that things are already done by the time we've imported it. But we're going to skip these steps because I'm going to show you guys how to build your own logo for free with zero software. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this later, so that means that we don't have a logo to put in right now. I'm going to show you guys how to change all of the font and colors and everything later on in Elementor. So they do give the option, however, to kind of choose your color palette, and now you can see that it's changing the colors here. I'm just going to leave it on the default red color, and you can also change the font if you want to. I'm going to say continue. And then the last step is to just ask the advanced options right here, because you actually don't have to enter in any of this information if you don't want to. But for the advanced options here, we've got import the customizer settings. We're going to import all the widgets, import all the content, which is all the fake pictures and all of the dummy text, and then also the non-sensitive data, which you can uncheck this if you want, but I usually just leave it. So I'm going to click on submit and build my website. All right, congratulations, your site has been downloaded. So now you can basically just close out of this page. So I'm going to click on the X button. You can also click on starter templates or on this page if you, to exit to dashboard right here, but I always keep a dashboard tab open so I can always go back when I want to. So I'm just going to close out of this guy. Okay, so now our new site has been imported to our domain name, so we can actually take a look at it right now by clicking on our site name like this. And we can see the entire website has downloaded to my new domain name. So if someone types in mixedbyantonio.com, this is now what they're going to see. A fully functioning website just with, fake text and stuff like this, because we have to change it ourselves. So it makes things a lot easier rather than having to build all of this yourself. So let's go ahead and close out of this tab. So now that we have the template, we can go ahead and move on to step number 5, which is to practice with Elementor. So in order to do that, I actually want to create an additional page so that we can edit that one without actually ruining the template. So I'm going to go over to the Pages tab, and then I'm going to click on Add New right here. So from here, we're just going to title the page Practice. And then over here on the right-hand side, click on Template right here and change the default template to Elementor Full Width, just like this. So now we're telling Astra, because we are in Astra right now, we're telling Astra to use Elementor to the full width of the page. So whatever we do in Elementor, we want it to show up as the full page rather than boxed in. So from here, you'll just click on Publish and then click on Publish again. And now we're going to click on Edit with Elementor on the top up here. All right, so now we are inside of Elementor right here. I'm going to show you guys how to use it. Now, the first thing is I want to show you guys how to create a section. So we're going to click on the little plus button right here, and then you can choose your structure, and I'll get into this in a second. So just click on the first one right here. Okay, so I'm going to do one more thing. So let's go ahead and click on the 6 dots right here and say Edit Section. And then from here on the the Layout tab, just go to Minimum Height right here, the height, and change it to minimum height. And then you can drag this slider around to kind of make it bigger. I just want to do this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so the basic layout of a website is you've got a section, which is the blue line that's outlining this whole section here. You can see the blue line here. And so inside of a section, which is essentially the background, you have a column. And so this is a column right here. It's this gray dotted line right here. And then you can have multiple columns inside of a section. So let's go ahead and check out this column right here. I'm going to right click on it and say Add New Column. And so now you see that I have 2 columns inside of my section. And so that's also why you don't have to click this part. When I click on the plus button, it was asking for all of these. It's asking, do you want 2 columns or 1 column? So if I clicked on this 2 right here, it would make it look just like this, 2 columns. But because I clicked on 1, you'll see that it just had 1. So I'm going to right click on it and say delete. And so it only has 1 column right here. Now, inside of a section, you've got columns, and inside of columns is where you put your widgets. So if you click on this plus button right here, it's going to show you all of the widgets that you have on the side. And so if I wanted to, I could add in an image widget by dragging and dropping it just like this. And now I've got an image that I can place. Now you'll see that the section is the blue line still. It's the background, this gray part. Then inside that we have the column, and then inside the column we have this image widget, which again I can place more. So let's just do the heading widget, and I can put it on top, or I could put it below. And you'll see that blue line as I'm hovering it over is where it's going to go. So if I put it on top like this, it'll be up here. So that's kind of how Elementor works. You've got sections, columns, and widgets. As of right now, let's go ahead and just delete this one and start over. So I'm going to go up here and click on the plus button, and let's just say we want 1 column. And then inside that column, we're going to go ahead and click on the plus button, and I'm going to add a heading widget. I'm going to right click on it and say duplicate. Then I'm going to go back to the Rubik's Cube icon right here in the top right corner of the menu here. To go back to the widgets, I'm going to add a divider. And one more time, I'm going to go back to this little cube icon here and click on button. All right, so let's go ahead and take all of this stuff and make it look pretty. So this is our practice before we start working on our actual website. So I'm gonna click on the 6 dots on the top here, and that's to edit the section. And so you'll see it says edit section up here. Under the layout tab, I'm gonna change the height to fit to screen. And so now this section is going to fit to the entire screen, as you can see. Next, what I'm gonna do is go to the style tab. And this is where you can change things like color and typography and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go to the background type and I choose classic, because you can choose a gradient, a video, or a slideshow, but I'm gonna choose classic. And then I'm gonna click on image right here. And then under upload files, I'm gonna select files for my computer. And now I'm gonna upload files or images that I can use for this entire website. So I'm gonna go to images here, and I'm actually just gonna import all of these and say open. So it's gonna take a second. And actually, none of these images are the one that I was going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and upload one more file. And I think I didn't move it over. There it is. Okay, so these are the ones we're going to use for the actual site. This is the one that I just want to use for some practice. So I'll click on Insert Media. And now you'll see that the section, which is the background, now is holding my background image. The next thing I'm going to do is go over to Position. And I'm going to change it to Center Center. So it focuses on the center of the image. And then I'm going to go down to size and change it to cover, which is going to basically stretch the image to fit to the background. All right. Next, I'm going to add a background overlay. And so with the background overlay, I'm just adding an overlay of a color basically. So I'm going to click on classic, and then I can choose my color, which I'm going to choose black. And then I can play with my opacity. And so you'll see that if I go all the way, it's going to be black. All the way to the left means that it's not even there. So I'll probably go with about 50%, maybe a little bit less. I think that looks good. Okay, so now I've got my background in check. Actually, let's make it a little bit brighter. I think that looks good. So now that we have the background done, let's go ahead and start editing the text. And with text on Elementor, you can actually just start typing straight onto the screen, just like this, or you can go over here to the left-hand side and also type here. It's the same thing. So let's just try something like, I'm just making something up right now, so North Star Foundation. And then we'll go over to alignment right down here, and I can choose center. And so now it's centered like this. I'll go to the style tab, and I can change my typography or text color, which I actually like this stock white color, so I'm gonna leave it. But I can go to typography and click on the pencil. And this is how you change things like size, weight, transform, which is like uppercase or lowercase, those kinds of things. So from here, all I can play with is I could increase the weight if I want to, but the default is already really thick. So I think it looks good. I could try 900, which it looks like it's the same. I could increase the letter spacing just a little bit and increase the size. So like this. All right, next I'm going to click on the second one here, and I'll edit this one on the page. So let's just try. All right, so from here, I can click on my divider, and you'll see I'm editing the divider. You can't really see it right now, but it's there. So let's first go to the Style tab and change its color to white. And lastly, let's edit the button. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to change its alignment to the center, just like this. And then I'll go to the Style tab, and I could change the color if I wanted to, but honestly, right now, I kind of like the red with the white, so I'm actually going to leave it. Okay, so I'm going to click on Update in the bottom left corner, and this basically saves my work and publishes it to my website. And the next thing I'm going to do is click on Preview Changes, which is right down here in the bottom left corner, right next to Update. And when I do that, you'll be able to actually take a live look at your website. And so that is how you take just a basic, boring gray background with some font here, and you can make it look very professional and clean, just like this. So now that we're done practicing, let's go ahead and actually customize our website. I'm actually going to go back to my pages right here and open it up on a new tab. And while we're here, I'm actually going to be deleting some of the other pages as well. I just want to make this a 3-page website. So I want a home page, a portfolio page, and then a contact page. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep the home, gallery, and contact, but I'm going to delete these 3 pages because I'm not going to do anything with them. Move to trash and click apply. And now you should only have 3 pages. All I have to do is I can actually just go here to quick edit right here, and I'm going to change the name. So I'm going to change it to portfolio. And then the slug is basically the same thing, but lowercase and with dashes. It's basically, the slug is basically like what's going to pop up behind your domain name. So it'll be mixedbyantonio.com/gallery right now, but I'm going to change that to /portfolio. So let's do that. Perfect. Now, if this was like my portfolio, just like this, that's the title of the page, the slug would be lowercase my dash portfolio. That's usually how it looks. It's just every word has a dash in between it because you can't put spaces into a URL. But for the purposes of this one, I'm actually just going to have it as portfolio page, just like this. And then all we have to do is go over here and click on update. And just like that, done. We've got home, portfolio, contact. That's it. So now if we were to click on our website name and go to our website, you'll notice that we only have 3 now. It's just the home page, the portfolio page, and the contact page. And if we click on the portfolio page, we haven't actually edited anything on the page. We've just edited the title of the page. So this still says gallery, but we're going to go into Elementor and change this later. So I'm going to close out of this tab and go back to my dashboard. Okay, so now that we've practiced with Elementor and we've got our pages in order, let's go ahead and move on to step number 6, which is to customize your website. So in order to customize your website, you can do 2 things. You could either open up your website like this on a new tab, and then you can choose which page you want to edit and then click on Edit with Elementor. So if I wanted to edit the home page, I could click Edit with Elementor. Or if I want the portfolio page, I click on it and then click Edit with Elementor. Or you can go over to the Pages tab, and I'll open it up on a new tab. And then you can edit with Elementor by clicking right here. So if I want to edit the contact page, I say edit this page with Elementor. So I'm going to click on Edit with Elementor right here. All right, everything's kind of looking familiar to what we were just doing on the practice. So I'm going to click on Update to save my work real quick, just so that everything is published in live. And let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually remove this header because I'm going to insert my own. And if you guys remember at the beginning of the video, I think it was on step 4 to install plugins, we installed a plugin called Essential Add-ons for Elementor. Well, what that did was add a bunch of widgets that we can use. So we've got all these widgets over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to close up the Pro one right here because these are locked unless you pay for them. These are the free ones. We've got even more down here, but if you notice, Essential Add-ons, we've got a whole bunch of additional widgets that we can add to our website here. And one of them is called a dual header or a dual color header, I think, or something like that. So let's type in dual color heading. There it is. So we're going to take this guy, drag it in right on top. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this guy to edit it. The first thing I'm going to do is remove this icon. So I'm just going to click on the trash can right here. So now it's just text. I'm also going to delete this little paragraph down here, which is the insert a meaningful line. You can see it right here. So I'm just going to delete all of it because all I want is the header, just like this one. So let's go ahead and change this up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and change it to the name of the guy that I'm building the website for. And of course, this is a fake name, but you know, we're trying to keep the example going. So we're going to go with Antonio Russo. Perfect. All right, so now we've got our name there. The next thing I'm going to do is go to the Style tab so I can change the size of the text as well as the color. So I'm going to go down to Color and Typography, and I've got the title style and the subtitle, which we deleted the subtitle. So all we have to do is focus on these right here. So first what I'm going to do is change this guy to the red color that we've been using for the rest of the website down here. So it's that bright red, maybe just a little bit less. And then now I'm going to change the second one, which is purple, and I want it to be white instead. So I'm going to click on it and drag over to the white. So let's go ahead and delete this guy. I'm going to right click on Mercy Law and then just say delete. And it's gone. Next, let's change this bottom part. So I'm going to click right here. The first thing I'm going to do is change it to be a center alignment, just like this one is, which this one automatically comes centered, this widget. This one doesn't. So let's change the alignment right here to center. And then I'm going to go up and change the text. So I'm going to completely delete this. Perfect. And if you forget to capitalize your words, the cool thing with Elementor is it doesn't matter because you can change the category when you want to. So we're actually going to do that right now. So I'm going to go to the Style tab. Now I'm just going to right click on it and say duplicate. And it gives me 2 of them. And then I'm just going to drag the second one on top of our text up here. Perfect. Now, right now it's behind the text, so we're going to change that right now. So now while we're editing this top one here, I'm going to go over to the Advanced tab first, because I want to remove the margin. They placed 30 points of margin on top, so I'm actually just going to remove it by placing it down to 0. And when you do that, it'll, bring everything up a little bit. Now we can go back to the Style tab and we can change the gap. So I'm going to increase the gap like crazy, just like this. So let's go ahead and click on Update to save our work. So we went ahead and added a duplicate divider on top and on bottom. So now it looks like the text is sandwiched between 2 lines. And then we've got this dummy text down here. This is where you could put like a quote, or you could put whatever you want down here. The last thing I'm going to do to the hero section is go up to the top and edit the background. So I'm going to click on the 6 dots to edit the section or the background. We'll go over to the Style tab, and I'm actually going to change the background type to a video. And this is the cool part. We actually get to place a video link, which you can see right here, it's YouTube. And so what I did is I just went onto YouTube like this, and I can search for Studio B-roll. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to choose, where is it? This one right here. I really like this one. All right, so I've got my video. I'm going to go up to the top and copy the hyperlink. I can close out of this tab now and paste it right here. And just like that, it's going to automatically play that video in the background. Now I'm going to do 2 more changes to this. The first, I'm going to go down to background overlay, and I don't like how it's gray. I want it to be more of a black color, and it looks like it's set to a gradient right now. So I'm going to change it to classic. And then I'm going to change the color to black and increase the opacity all the way to the side. From there, I'm going to change the opacity here instead. Something like that looks pretty good. All right, so I like the darkness of the overlay, and I also like the video in the background. The last thing I'm going to do is go back up to the background tab, and under the video link, I'm going to change the start time and the end time. So I can change the start time, and I'm going to put in 4 because I want it to start at the 4-second mark, which will have, I think it's, this part in the background, so it doesn't have that person back there. And then the end time, I want it to stop at 24, and then it's just going to continuously loop from 4 to 24. The last thing we can do is we can put a background fallback image. So just in case the website fails to upload this video and start playing it in the background, we don't want it to just be a regular blank color back there. We would rather have a backup image. So if the video doesn't load, it'll at least put this up. So we can click here and we can just choose whatever image we want. It's kind of irrelevant because most of the time the video is going to play, but I'll just pick something random. Let's just do this one. So now we've got a background image. All right, so I'm going to click on Update to save my work. And then let's go ahead and preview what we've done so far. So I'm going to click on Preview Changes, which is right next to Update. So you'll see that background image pop up first, and then it loads the video. Well, I think it looks great. So we've got these 2 lines on top and on the bottom of our title here. The title is that cool dual color title. So I think that's a really cool addition. I love that. And then we've got the 3 things that he does, as well as you guys can put whatever you want down here. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next parts of the website. So now that we're back in Elementor, I'm going to scroll on down here. Now this is just a banner that you can change to be whatever you want. This is just a heading widget, so it's just text that you can edit straight on the website. So you can click here and start typing whatever you want. Now I also want my text to be over here on the left-hand side, and to do that, I have to change the settings of the section. So I'm going to click on Edit Section right now, and you'll notice that the column right here ends right over here on the side. And I actually want it to be the full width of the screen rather than boxed in to the center like this. And so we're going to change the content width from boxed to full width. And so now you'll see that my text goes all the way to the left and my button goes all the way to the right. Now all I have to do is just add some padding. So I'm going to go over to the Advanced tab, and you'll see the padding is on the top and bottom. We're also going to add some padding on the left and right because I want to pad or add some extra space on both sides here. So let's go ahead and add 50 on this side. And so you'll see the button came over. Let's go ahead and actually add like 200. Let's try that. Yeah, I like that. So the button is over here. And then we can add on the left side, maybe 100. The last thing I'm going to do is edit this title because I want to capitalize each word. So I'm going to go over to the Style tab again and go to Typography. And from here, we can change the transform settings. And instead of doing uppercase, I'm going to choose capitalize. And you'll see that it capitalizes each word. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is edit this button right here. And so editing buttons is really simple. Elementor makes it incredibly easy. So we're going to click on the blue pencil icon to edit this button. From here, we've got the text, which is on the button. And so I'm going to say contact now. or contact me instead. Let's say contact me. And then you can change the link right here. So all you have to do is put in a URL or a domain name or a link right here. And then when they click on the button, it takes them to that link. It's very easy. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and delete that hashtag, which is just a placeholder. And you'll see that it's asking for a link right here. The cool thing about Elementor is when I type in words here, it's also going to search all the pages on my website and then let me place in links to those. So if I want this button to hook up to the contact page, so all I have to enter in is contact, because that's the name of the page. And then you'll see that Elementor automatically searches all the elements on my website. So these are both pages. And I can actually choose contact right here. And when I click on it, it automatically enters in the URL to my contact page, mixedbyantonio.com/contact. So that's pretty cool. One last thing that I'm going to do is anytime someone goes to the contact page, I want it to open up on a new tab. The way I do that is I just click on the link options right here, and I say open in a new window. All right, and just like that, we're done with the button. So I'm going to go down to the bottom and click on update to save my work. So I'm going to open the site on a new tab by previewing my changes. Just to show you guys that when I scroll down here, you'll see that my new banner is ready to go. So I'm going to click on contact me, and it automatically opens up my contact page on a new tab. So there's my home page, there's my contact page. So I just wanted to show you guys that it works. So we'll close out of that guy, and let's continue editing. So I'm going to scroll on down. Next, we have a biography section. So I'm going to go ahead and change a couple things here, but most of it I'm going to leave the same. You guys already know how to edit text, and you can go ahead and just type on the screen wherever you want. This is text as well as this. This right here is actually an image. And so if you click edit right here on this blue icon, you'll see that it's actually just an image, and the image is this person's signature. So I'm actually just going to remove this. So you can right click on the blue box and say delete. So the next thing I'm going to do is change the background here. So I'm going to go up to the 6 dots and click on it so that I can edit the section. From here, I'm going to go over to the Style tab and change the background image. So I'm going to click here and choose the image from my media library. And I'm going to pick this guy right here because I really like this picture. So I'm going to click on Insert Media. And now he's in the background. Now you can make sure that your position is center, but of course you can position the image however you want. I'm going to leave it there. I like that it's fixed. So basically it has this parallax effect so that when I scroll, he stays in the background. I think that's really cool. And the size is cover, which is good. That means that it's stretching it to the background. Next, I'm going to go over to the background overlay, and we have this gradient here that makes it kind of change to like a dark gray. I actually like this. I'm just going to decrease this second color down here a little bit. So I'm going to click on it, and I'll change the opacity down to something like this. That way we can kind of see his shirt. Perfect. Now I'm going to click on update to save my work. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and leave this section the way it is because I like how it looks. So now let's go ahead and move on to the next section. So we'll scroll on down, and it looks like it's this tour dates. I'm going to go ahead and remove this and create a section from scratch. So I'm going to close this one out just by clicking on this X, and it's going to delete this entire section. So let me hover over it and say delete. And then I'm going to click on the plus button right here, and it's going to add a section in between these two. And so I'm going to click on the plus button right here, and I'll say I want 1 column. Next, I'm going to go over to the Rubik's Cube icon, and I'm going to change the heading. Well, I'm going to add a heading. That's what I mean. And then I'm going to add a second heading. So I'm going to click on the Rubik's Cube again, add a heading. And then lastly, I'm going to go back to the Rubik's Cube icon and add one more widget called an image carousel. And all you have to do is type in the first few letters of carousel, and it's going to pop up right here. Drag this guy in and place it underneath. All right, so next what I'm going to do is actually edit the background first. So I'm going to click on the 6 dots to edit the section. I'm going to go over to the Advanced tab, and I want to add padding on the top and on the bottom so there's space, because right now it's just kind of sandwiched right up against my widgets. So I'm going to unlink the values, because if the values are linked together, as I go up, they all go up, and that's not what I want. I only want the top and the bottom. So I'm going to add 200 to the top and 200 to the bottom. Next, I'm going to go over to the Style tab and add my background image. So I'm going to click on Classic right here under the background type, because Classic can be a color or an image. And then, of course, you've got Gradient, you've got videos and slideshows, but I'm going to stick to Classic. From here, I'm going to change my image. and I'll just choose one. So let's pick this one right here, and I'll say insert. And then next I can change all of my settings here. I want it to focus on the center of the image. I want my attachment to be scroll, which means that it's locked into place with it. If I chose fixed, it would be stuck to the background like that. So I want this one to be scroll, and I can change my size to cover. And then actually I'm going to change it from center to top center because I think it looks a little bit better. Yeah, I like that. Lastly, I'm going to go to the background overlay for the section background, of course. And I'm going to go ahead and add a classic background here, and I'll change the color to black. So now I've got a black overlay. And then you can play with the opacity how you wish. I think I'm going to go a little bit darker just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just edit the text right on the page. And then the last thing I'm going to do is edit the carousel. So let's click on the carousel. And basically what an image carousel is it's just an image gallery. And all we have to do is select a bunch of images and insert them in there. And then we can format them afterwards. But what it does is it just cycles through the images like they're on a carousel. So it's kind of an animation instead of just having a basic gallery sitting there. I always prefer to use these whenever it's a single section like this. So we're going to go ahead and add the images. So I'm going to click here and say upload files because I have a couple logos that I downloaded and edited so that we can put them onto the website here. So the way that you add them is you can either upload them or you just click on them when they're in your library and you'll see that they get a little checkbox here like this. So I've got these 6 ready to go. I'm going to click on create my gallery. Now you can change the order if you want to by just dragging and dropping like this. So you can put whatever you want first. So I might put, Lionsgate first, Universal, I could put Star next, and then Sony, however you want to do it. And we'll click on Insert Gallery. And just like that, we've got this image carousel that you can see moves on its own, but it's kind of cropping our images in a weird way. So let's go ahead and fix that. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the image size because it looks like it's cropping them off in a weird way. So let's go ahead and just increase it to 300 by 300. Perfect. So now you can see the full logos. Next, what I want to do is change the alignment of these because you can see that they're all over the place. So I'm going to go over to the Style tab and go down to Image, and I can change the vertical align to center, which already makes a huge difference now. You can see that they're at least all in line. Next, I'm going to go and change the spacing. So you can choose it to custom if you want, and then you can increase the spacing between them. And so I'm just going to kind of increase it just by a little bit. Actually, I kind of like the default more, so I'm just going to leave it on default, just like that. We can go back to the content tab and we can change other things like how many slides we want to show. So right now it's only showing 3, but I could choose to show 4. And it's going to crunch them even more, just like this. But I actually kind of like the 3. I think it's fine. And then we can choose how many slides to scroll through. You could also choose the image stretching. So we could say yes if you want, but it just makes them bigger. So I'm going to leave it off. And we can go down to additional options and change the autoplay speed, which I'm actually going to change this to 2.5 seconds because this is in milliseconds. So this is every 5,000 milliseconds, but you convert that to seconds and it's 5 seconds. So I'm going to change it to 2,500, which is basically 2.5 seconds. So every 2.5 seconds, they're going to shift. Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to click on Update to save my work because I think the Trusted By section is done. I think it looks awesome. So let's scroll on down to the last section, which is like their latest albums, because I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this down here. So I'm going to remove this gallery because I'm going to have a gallery on a different page. And then I'm also going to delete the contact section because I have a specific page for the contact page. So I'm just going to completely delete this. All right. So this is the last section here. We're going to leave it as latest albums, but you could also change it to latest projects or latest services, however you want to do this if you're doing a different website. So then I'm going to go ahead and change these right here. So I created some fake albums. I'm going to go ahead and insert them now. So you can click on edit right here and all it is just an image. So I can change the image first and I can choose them. So I'm going to go to upload files. So let's go ahead and choose the coolest one. So I'm going to use this one first, I think, because it's got a Porsche on it. And you'll see that it's over here on the left-hand side. So all you have to do is just change the padding if you want. And so you can go over here and see where these are padded to. So I can click on this guy and go advanced. And you'll see that on the left-hand side, they've got 100 padding. So I'm going to do that to this. So I'm click on the image again, go to the advanced tab, unlink the values, and I can choose the left-hand side to have 100. And you'll see that it perfectly lines up just like that. And so all of this is just text. Again, you can click here and type directly on screen. You can type directly on screen for these. Same with those two. I'm not going to change these. You can go down here, and this is essentially an icon list, but it's the same thing as text. You click on it, and now you can edit all three of these right here. So I can click on released and then actually type right there. I could click on the label and actually change the text. And then I can click on the format and actually change the format right here. And then you can also reorder them by clicking and dragging. So if I want format above label, I just drag it up like that. And now I've got format above label. So that's pretty cool. And then the last thing are these buttons right here. So you can click on them. And they're called social icons. It's another widget in Elementor. And so again, it's similar to the icon list that's right here, which it says icon list, but really we're using it for text. So we can use widgets, not exactly how they're intended for, just to make things easier for us. So that's a good example. But when we're back here editing these social icons, same thing, you can drag and drop them. And now I can change Apple Music to be in front of the Google Play, but I'll move that up again. All you have to do to link these buttons up is you click on it and you can add the link right there. So what you're going to have to do is, if you're building this for a client or for yourself, you'll have to go on a new tab, and let's just say we're hooking up, let's try Spotify. You would go over here and you'd go to Spotify. You would then click on Spotify here, and then you could search for the song while you're in Spotify. And then you would copy the URL, similar to what we did with the YouTube video for the background of our top page. And then you come over here and paste it right there. So all you have to do is find the link for it, paste it, and you do the same thing for SoundCloud. You paste the link, and then when they click on it, it takes them to those links. The last thing I want to show you guys for these icons is you can change the hover color as well. So right now when I hover over it, it's barely doing anything. I can go over to the Style tab to do this. So under the icon settings, I've got the primary color is red, and the secondary color is blank, but it's essentially white by default. I can go over and change the hover color down here, which is the icon hover. Open this guy up. And then I can change the primary color to white if I want to. And so now when I hover over it, it changes to white, but now the logo disappears. So I can change the secondary color to red. And so basically now when I hover, it inverses like this. And I think it looks way cooler like that. Now I'm going to click on Update to save my work. Now you just made those changes to these, but you might want to do the same thing to these buttons over here, because see how these don't hover? So you can actually right click and say copy. And then you can right click again on these and say paste style. If you paste the style, you're only taking the settings of the style tab right here. But if you say paste, you're just going to paste a duplicate. So now you've got a second one down here, which you don't need. So I'm going to right click and say delete. So I'm going to right click and say paste style. And now you'll see that the style has copied over, but it won't mess with the links. So that's cool. So you can change the style of these two, but you'll have to have different links because these are different songs. So I'm going to click on Update to save my work. The last thing I want to do to this section is just change the background image. And again, the way we do that, you guys already remember, we're going to go up to the 6 dots to edit the section. We'll go to the Style tab, change the image. All right, and now we're done. I'm going to click on Update to save my work, and then I can preview the changes of our entire homepage. All right, so this is the homepage. We've got this sick video in the background playing, which makes it look so much cooler. We've got our text here in 2 different colors, which is a special widget. If you guys remember, it's the dual heading widget or the dual color widget. And then we changed all of that here. We've got the button that takes them to the contact page on a new tab. This is the biography section. The trusted by section, which has this super cool carousel here that changes them as we go. And then we've got the latest albums with link buttons here. The last thing that we can change is the subscribe to my newsletter, but this is actually not even in Elementor. This is part of the footer down here, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that later. So now that we're done with this page, we can go ahead and click on Portfolio and go to the Portfolio page, and we can just edit this right here. So we can just click on Edit with Elementor. And while this is loading up, I'm just going to close out of this previous Elementor for the homepage. So the first obvious change I'm going to make here is change gallery to portfolio. Just like that. Super easy. Next, I'm going to change the background setting. So I'm going to click on the 6 dots and change my background image. So let's scroll on down here. And now basically the rest of this is only one widget and it's just a giant gallery widget. I'm going to delete this and change it to more of a discography page where I'm going to show off the different projects that this person has worked on, you know, Antonio Russo. So I'm going to right click on this and just say delete the basic gallery. Poof, just like that, we've got a clean slate to work with. So click on the plus button and we can choose our widgets here. And I'm going to go over here. And again, I'm going to use another widget from Essential Add-ons. So if you guys remember, it's that plugin that we downloaded down here, Essential Add-ons. And it's basically a filterable gallery. So it's the same thing as that other gallery, except for it's got additional capability to it. So I'm going to just put in filter, and you'll see it right here. So let's drag it in. All right, so now whenever I hover over these images, you'll see that it's got text here, it's got links and buttons and all that jazz. We're going to change all of this up. So first thing we're going to do is go over here to the settings tab, and I'm actually just going to delete both of these icons here because I don't want buttons. So when you hover over it, I don't want buttons here, so I'm going to remove these as well. So we'll change the buttons to just media. So now you click on this and it's just going to take you to the media. And then we'll also change it to be full image clickable. So instead of if I click out here, I also want it to take me to the same link. So I'm going to say full image is clickable. And the last thing we're going to do is taking the full image action. So right now, if they click on it, let me click on update to save my work and I'll show you. Let me preview the changes. Right now, if they click on it, it opens up the image in Lightbox. So basically they could just see the album cover bigger, which is not what I want to happen. I want them to click on it and then it takes them to the song on whatever platform they're on. So I want this to change from Lightroom to a link. So I'm going to close that and I can change that by saying the full image action. So the full image is clickable and I want the action when they click on the full image to be a link. Perfect. And just like that, when they click on this, it's not going to open up the image bigger. It'll just take them straight to that link. So now let's actually change this up. So I'm going to close the settings folder right here and drop down to gallery items. And you'll see gallery name, and there's gallery name. And then we've got the subtext right here is dummy text. And when you click on it, you'll see that it's dummy text right here. So we can change whatever shows up over this image, and we can also change the image itself as well as the link right down here. So let's go ahead and change the first one. Let's go ahead and change the background image, and I'll choose the no excuses one. All right, and then we can also add a link right here. And for now, I'm just going to put in YouTube. So now you'll see no excuses pops up. We've also got our image back there and also recording engineer. So you'll see it's like the song name and maybe who it's by. You know, you can put whatever you want here. Now you'll see that it's stretching my image in a weird way because this image is actually a square. So you'll see it looks like a square over here. I did that on purpose. So let's go ahead and fix this because it looks terrible like that. So the way we're going to do that is we'll close out of gallery items and we're going to go back to settings. And then we're going to change the grid style from grid to masonry. And so now masonry is basically taking the size of the image and making it the size of the gallery. So you can see that this has become a square, but this is still a rectangle because that fake image, those 3 triangles, is a rectangle image. So when I insert all of my square images, these will all be squares. So again, we're going to go ahead and close the settings tab and go back to gallery items. And now you can see no excuses right here. So what I'm going to do off camera is just add the rest of these real quick. So I'll show you guys in just a minute. I'm going to click on update to save. So I went ahead and changed all of those just to put in the images and everything. And again, I did the exact same thing we did here. I just put in some text and an image back there. The last thing I noticed, and I'm going to change it right now, is link to isn't media. We need to change it to none. So you're not linking to anything except for the link that I provide. That's it. So we're going to go ahead and click on update to save our work. And then I'll show you guys how it works right now. We'll go to preview changes, scroll on down. And if I click anywhere on this title right here, it's going to open up the link that I placed, which was just YouTube. So we know that the gallery works. The last thing I want to do to this gallery is just change this background white to just be transparent. And I also want to take off these filter controls because this is part of the filterable capability of this. So basically I could tag all of these and create a filter, but I'm not doing this for this video. I just wanted this gallery because it allows me to do this special linking system. So I'm going to remove those entirely. And the way that we do that is we go to filterable controls and we can turn off the filters. And they're gone. Now we'll go to the Style tab and remove this white background. And all we do is the white background, I'm just going to change it to be completely transparent. So it's non-existent, just like that. Okay, so I think the portfolio page is done. We can go ahead and close out of this tab. And we can close out of this tab as well because we're not going to be editing it anymore. Let's go ahead and go over and open our site on a new tab. And then we're going to go to the contact page this time. Perfect. And now that we're on the contact page, we can go ahead and click on Edit with Elementor. Now I'm going to go a little faster because you guys are already understanding the basic things that we're doing here. So I'm going to change the background image here. So I'll click on my 6 dots. I'm going to go to the Style tab and I can change my background image. Scroll on down. The last thing you can do is just edit these things here, but all I'm going to do is just edit the section and just add some padding on top and bottom. There's actually padding on the bottom, you can tell because there's open space here. So all I'm going to do is go to the Advanced tab, and you can see the spacing on the bottom. I'm just going to add to the top, 100. Other than that, the contact page is done. We could preview the changes to look at it, but you guys are already looking at it here, so we've got that image in the background. And while we're at it, on the contact page, let me show you guys how to edit your contact form as well, and I'll do just a very basic overview. So I'm going to close out of this tab, and we're done with the contact page too, so we can close out of this tab. And now we're back on the dashboard. So from here, we're going to go down to WP Forms on the left-hand side, and then we can go to All Forms. So I'll open it on a new tab. And you've got 2 forms. You've got the newsletter and the contact form. We're not even going to touch the newsletter, so you could delete this one if you want to. We're going to be editing the contact form. So I'll say Edit. All right, so this is how you can edit your form, and it's very similar to Elementor, where this is just a drag and drop system. So if I want, another name field or an email field or something like that, all you do is just drag it in there, and now you've got one. And if you don't want it, you can just go over here to the trash can and delete it. So you've got name, email, and message. If you wanted to add something like some checkboxes, you could totally do that and just drag it in here. And then when you click on it, it opens up the settings, and it's pretty self-explanatory. And then you can change whether it's a required field or not just by clicking on this right here, and it adds the asterisk. And so basically, if they tried to not select one of these, it wouldn't let them submit the form. But these are kind of optional, so I'll just leave them as not required. And then you can go back to the fields. You've got your own field options, so you can go back to add fields. And now, of course, you can just add whatever you want here. Next, let's go over to the settings of your contact form. So you've got the name, which is just called contact form, but that doesn't display on your website. This is just for you. Obviously, that's what you saw when we were choosing between newsletter and contact form. It's just contact form is the title. You can change the text of the button. So right now it says send or sending. So if I go to our website and open it up on a new tab and show you guys, and go to the contact page, you'll see down here, it just says send. You could change that to say something else if you want right there. So you can change the text of the button. So you can also go to the notifications tab, and this is where you actually set up the back end of your contact form. Very simple. You just basically change your send to email address. Right now it's pulling with shortcode your admin email, which is the email that you signed up with HostGator. I usually just delete this, and then I enter in my own email right here. When you're done making all the changes to your contact form, you can just go over here and click on Save. And then you can click on the X button as well, and it pulls you out of WP Forms. So now that we made basically no changes to our contact form, we can close out of this tab right here, and you'll see any changes that you made will pop up here. You can actually refresh the page now, and you'll see that those checkboxes now appear. And so they can click on some of these and say, I want to do recording, or I don't want to do recording, but I want to do mixing and post-mixing. And then they can type out their message here and then click on send. And you'll notice that it's going to force me to do something here. So I could type out a name and an email at email.com, and then they can click send. Perfect. And then once they send, it'll just say, thanks for contacting us. We'll be with you shortly. So let's go ahead and close out of that tab and go back to the WordPress dashboard. So now that we've finished customizing our entire website, we can move on to step number 7, which is to edit the header and footer. And to edit our header and footer, we're not going to be using Elementor. This time, we're going to be using the customizer, which uses our theme that we downloaded earlier, Astra. So in order to open that customizer, we're going to go over to the Appearance tab and then click on Customize right here. I always open everything up on a new tab. All right, so similar to Elementor, you're going to see a live preview over here on the right-hand side, and then you've got your menu over here on the left. Now, we're only going to be editing this top portion up here, as well as the very, very bottom portion, which is all of this down here. So let's go ahead and start with the top. So we've got our logo on the left-hand side, and then we've got our menu on the right-hand side. So the first thing I want to do is insert my logo, but I need to show you guys how to build your own first. So we're going to open up a new tab, and in the search bar, you're going to look for something called Logo Maker without the e.com. And you'll get taken to a page that looks like this. So I'm going to click on Start My Design. All right, and once you get in here, you can just click out of those things because I'm going to show you guys how to use it. It's a very simple software. Over here on the left-hand side, you've got basic functions. So you've got text, you've got shapes like circles, squares, and all that, and then you've got the paint bucket, which can fill things in. Over here on the right-hand side, you've got the color wheel, as well as the saturation square. So this is like saturation, you can make it black and white. And then you've got your opacity right here, which makes things more opaque or transparent. And then you've got your layers tab, so you can have things on top of each other. And then up here in the top is where you can search from over like 3 million graphics that you can use for free. So there's tons and tons of different things that you can look for. And so you could come up here, and if you're a photographer, for example, you could kind of go with like camera. And then you'll see that they have a ton of different cameras that you can look through. And you can pick whichever one you want and customize it the way you want. But I'm not going to be using a picture for my logo. This time I'm going to go with a really simple one, and it's just going to be a text logo. So I'm going to go over here and click on text, and it's going to add some that I can put in right here. And what I'm going to do is turn on my caps lock and type in mixed by. And then I'm going to go over here and click on the text button again to add a second one. And I'm going to drag it over here. And I'll say Antonio. But this time, no cap lock. Perfect. Now, one thing that you can do is you can highlight everything by clicking and dragging, and now I can move everything together. So that's something that you can do. You can always do a group edit as well by highlighting everything and then changing the color together, rather than just changing the color of Antonio. Now, the funny thing is, what I just did is actually what I'm going to keep. I want my text to be black for mixed by, and then I want this text to be red. So I'm going to go ahead and move Antonio down over here. And I'm going to go up to the top, and I can choose my fonts. So I've got my font category, and then my font family, which is basically the actual font. So I can choose here and go to designer picks, but I'm actually going to go to fancy and cursive. And then I'm going to choose one called Sacramento right here, because I think that looks pretty classy. I like that cursive look. And then for mixed by, I'm going to click on this one and go up here. And I'm actually going to stick to designer picks. But instead of railway, I'm going to choose a different one. I'm going to choose this one. All right, so I've got my mixed by right here, and I can use these corners to kind of drag everything and make it a little bit bigger. And then I've got Antonio right here. So I'm going to drag that as well and make Antonio bigger. And then I'm going to place Antonio just right here, kind of overlapping over the B. Now what you can do is you can always click on something and then use your arrow keys to move it very slightly like this. So I'm actually going to make it just a little bit bigger. I think that looks good. And then I'll move it with my arrow keys. I think something like that actually looks really cool. And I like how the T, the line on the T kind of looks like it's underlining by. So I think that looks pretty cool. Now, I'm actually done with my logo. I was going to keep it really simple, but of course, if you ever wanted to and you were doing something for a different business, you can always choose an image, something like this, and you could put it over here on the side, and you can kind of make something like this if you want. But I'm going to keep it very simple and just do this. Once you're done, you can go ahead and go over to the right-hand side and click on Save Logo. And from here, you're going to see that they're going to ask, if you want the high-resolution file, you're going to have to pay for it. And so when you click on Download Files, you have to pay for it. But instead of clicking on this one, we're actually going to go down here and say Download the low-resolution file, and this one's going to be free. So you click on it, you say, I accept and acknowledge the legal terms, and then you just say, I want to download the free low-resolution file. So I'm going to click on this. And then it's automatically going to download to my computer. Next, I'm going to go ahead and close back out, and I'm going to actually create a white version of my logo. Because if I were to put this logo over a dark background, like what we have on my website, you're not going to be able to see the black text very well. So I'm going to do a variant of it by clicking on it and changing only that text to white. Once I'm done, I'm going to go over here to the top corner and do the same process for doing the low resolution file for free. I accept the terms and download. Close out of it. We're going to come back, and one more time, I'm actually going to delete, you can't see it right now, let me change it back to black. I'm going to delete the mixed by. Because the last thing I want to create, we just created a black logo and a white logo. The last thing I want to make is a site icon or a favicon. And essentially what that is this little part right here that's going to appear on the tab when you're looking at it on Google Chrome, for instance. So right now, your website has this little HostGator icon. It's their mascot, the gator. So we're going to change this to have your own favicon right here. So what I'm going to do is just take the word Antonio, and I'm actually just going to shorten it to ANT with a period at the end. And that's going to be my favicon. So I'm going to go ahead and just resize it to be a square, just like that. And then I might make it a little bit bigger. Perfect. From here, I'm just going to take this as my favicon, and I'll say save logo one more time with the low resolution file and download. Perfect. So now you've got all three logos, and we created them for free. So we're going to go ahead and close out of both of these two tabs and go back to our Astra customizer for our website. From here, there's two ways to get to the header builder or the logo where we can change it. The first one is going to be right here. You can click on the blue pencil icon, and it's going to take you to the actual logo where you can edit it. But the second way is just by clicking through the menu, and I want to show you guys where everything is, so that's how I'm going to do it. But again, if I wanted to go straight to the menu, I could click on this pencil. So to get to the logo, we're going to go over to the header builder because we're working on the header, which is up top. And then we're going to go to site title and logo. From here, I'm going to remove the two logos that they have, and I'm going to insert my own. It's going to ask if you want to crop it, so I'm just going to say skip. Okay, so now you're going to see that on my dark background, it's kind of hard to see the mixed by. So that's where the white logo comes into effect. Now this is a transparent header because there isn't a solid bar behind it. You can actually see through the header and you can see the video back there. So that's what we call a transparent header. So what we have to do is set up a separate logo for the transparent header. And the way we do that is we go to the customize transparent header right here. And then we're going to say, do you want to use a different logo for a transparent header? And I'm going to say yes. And so basically that means that anywhere on my site that it's using a transparent header like this, I want it to use this logo instead of my main logo. So I'm going to say select image, and in my library, because I already uploaded it, is my white one. And now it's automatically going to change to the white logo because this is a transparent header. Now, the last thing I want to do is change my site icon in the top. So I'm going to click on the back button here, go back into site title and logo, and go to the very bottom. And you'll see site icon right down here. So we're going to click on it, and we can select the site icon. And you'll notice that now the ANT is showing up as my site icon. Pretty cool. So I'm going to click on Publish to save my work so far, which is also going to make it live on my website. Okay, so now that we've changed the logo and also the site icon, let's move over to the menu on our header. So again, you could click on the pencil icon, and it's going to take you straight to the menu setup, or you can click on the back button again. We can go to Header Builder, and you'll see primary menu right here. Now the primary menu is where you would think that you could change things like the color and font of the menu up here. But again, we're dealing with a separate header, and it's a transparent one. So we actually aren't going to go to primary menu. There are some things we change in here, but we're not going to touch it today. We're actually going to go down to transparent header. From here, we can go to the design tab, and you'll notice all of the different colors that we can change with our menu up here. So we can change the background overlay, the site title color, which is not enabled right now, but we've got the text and link background color for the menu right here. So the first thing I want to do is change the text color. And so right now I want it to be a solid white, just like that, with full opacity. And so now it's a full white and it's very bright rather than just being a little bit more dim like that. And then I want my hover/active color to be red, just like our website. And just like that, anytime I hover over any of the other options, you'll see that they turn red, and then whichever page you're on currently is always red, because we're on the home page right now. So that's how we edit the color of the menu. But remember how I said we will change some things on the actual menu settings? Well, let's click on the blue pencil icon, which I'm not going to change anything here, but if you wanted to, you can change the typography of the actual header up here by going to the Design tab under Primary Menu right here. And this is where you can come in here and actually change the menu font. So you click on the pencil icon here, and you'll notice that I can change the font, the size, the line height, and all of that stuff. But again, I'm not going to change it. I think it looks fine the way it is. So I'm going to click on Publish to save my work. So the last thing that I want to do to the header section up here is actually, instead of having this as a third option in the menu, I'm going to turn this into a button instead. So the way that you do that, and this is personal preference, by the way, you go over here, and you'll see that the primary menu is inside of this visual space that you can actually edit the header. So right now, everything is on one line, but you can drag and drop the menu that we have right here. If I wanted it to be center, I could place it in the center like this. And now it's in the center. But I'm going to keep it on the right-hand side. You can click on the plus button and add widgets to your header, which is really cool. I'm going to add a button, just like this. You'll notice that it puts it on the right-hand side, and that's perfect because that's where I wanted it anyways. So I'm going to click on the button here, and I can edit it. So over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to type in contact. And then my link, I actually want to be my contact page. Now, the only sad part is, with Astra, it's not the same as Elementor. I can't just type in contact and have it search all of my pages. It's not going to do that. So we've got to go get our link ourselves. So I'm going to open up my dashboard again on my other tab. And if you don't have a tab open, you can always publish to save your work and then click on the X button right here. But this is why I like having multiple tabs open, because I'm going to bounce back and forth between these two. But you can click on the X button and it'll take you back to the dashboard. From here, I'm going to go and open up my pages to see all of the pages of my website. And so I've got 3 of them. For the contact page, I'm just going to click on View. And what that's going to do is just open the actual page on my website. And so now there's my link. So I'm going to click here and just copy the whole thing. I can close out of that tab and go back to my customizer and paste it here. Perfect. And the last thing I want it to do is open it up on a new tab. And just like that, I'm going to click on Publish to save my work. And the last thing you could do if you wanted to is customize the button to be similar to the rest of the website. So what I could do is go to the Design tab, and I can change the text color and background color and also border color and stuff like that. But for now, I think it's just fine like this. Now, it's a little redundant to have contact and contact, so let's remove this one from the list. And the way that we do that is we have to go all the way back to the main menu. We'll drop down to Menus, and then we're going to click on Menu right here because it's titled Menu. I know I'm saying menu a lot, but it's because they titled it Menu. So I'm actually going to title it Primary Menu, because we're going to create a second one for the footer in just a little bit. So the primary menu is going to be these 3 up here, and it's really easy to do. You can actually change the order of these 3. So if I wanted contact to be first, I could just drag it like this, and now you'll see contact is in front of portfolio. So I'm going to drag it back on top. I'm actually just going to remove contact. So I'm going to go down here and just click on remove. And so now I've got home, portfolio, and then a giant button saying, hey, contact me. Because that's the point of this website, is I want people to contact Antonio Russo to book appointments with him. So now that I'm done editing this, I'm going to click on Publish to save my work. And that's it. We've finished editing the header. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the bottom so we can edit our footer. So I'm going to click on the back button twice, and then I'm going to drop down to Footer Builder right here. Now with the footer builder, the first thing I'm going to do is completely remove this portion of the footer because I don't really want it. But you'll notice right here, we've got widget 1, which is going to be this text right here, and widget 4, which is going to be this contact form right here. I'm going to completely remove both of those, and it'll just remove this entire red section. So I'm going to click on remove this element and remove this element. And just like that, it says, oh, there's no widgets here, so we don't need that red bar anymore. So it just removes it completely. So now what we have is these 2 widgets, which is your image, text, and these are icons. And so that's these right here. You've got socials and then the widget. Now widget 2 is holding an image and text. So if I click on it right now and say got it, you'll see that it's got the image on top and then it's got text down below. So it's kind of two widgets wedged into one. And then the social icons are these right here. And this works the exact same way that the icon list right here works. All we have to do is drag and drop them if we want to change the order, and now Google is in front. You can click on it and then actually place the URL to that link. So I'm going to close out of that guy. If you ever want to remove one, you just click on the X button right next to it. So if I want to remove Google reviews, I could just click on X. And then if I wanted to add Google reviews back, you can just choose from the list that they have here. So there's Google reviews, and then I say add. And then I can drag it back to the top. Now the last thing we're going to do is go ahead and change that logo, and we're pretty much done. I'm also going to add a menu right below here instead of this text. So let's go ahead and click on widget 2, which is going to be this right here. The first thing I'm going to do is completely remove the text section. So I'm going to click on it, click on the 6 dots, or the 3 dots, and then I'm going to say remove that widget. Next, what I'm going to do is click on the plus button down below, and I'm going to look through for the menu. So I'm going to say menu. And I've got a navigation menu right here. And now it's going to ask which navigation menu we want to use. Well, we've got to create one first. So I'm going to click on publish to save my work, and we'll come right back. So let's click on the back button, all the way to the main menu, and go back to menus right here. And from here, instead of creating the primary menu, we need a second one called footer menu, because this is a separate menu. So I'm going to click on create new, and we'll call it the footer menu. Just like this. And then I'm going to say that where do I want this menu to show up? Well, I want it to show up in the footer. That's kind of why I called it the footer menu. So we'll click that box and say next. Now all we have to do is add items or links to this menu. So I'm going to click on add items, and you'll notice that pages is already open, so it makes it so easy. All we have to do is just add the pages. So I'm going to click on the plus button for home, portfolio, and contact. Once I'm done, I'm just going to click on publish. All right, so now we have a menu, we have to put it down here. So I'm going to click on the back button. We're going to go back into the footer builder. And from here, I'm going to click back onto widget 2. So again, we're editing right here. So the menu is going to go right here for navigation menu. And all we have to do is select it. And so right now we've got primary menu, so we probably have to refresh the page first. Let's try that. So we're going to go back down to the footer builder, and then we'll click on widget 2, click on navigation menu, and there we go. Footer menu is appearing. So we just had to refresh the page first. Now you'll notice that it actually gave me the menu, but it's in a vertical orientation, and I want it in a horizontal orientation. Well, the way that you do that is I have to do it a completely separate way, but it's not that long. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it a different way as well. I just wanted to show you that if you do like the vertical look, this is how you would do it. So I'm going to click on the actual widget, and again, I'm going to remove it. So I'm going to go back over here and click where I want it to go, and I'm going to choose a footer menu. So you'll see that it places it under the social icons, so I'm just going to move it over so that it's on top. And from here, all I have to do is click on it, and I can configure the menu from here, and all I have to do is choose footer menu, which it's already activated, so we're good to go. From here, I can go back into the footer builder, back to my footer menu, and you'll notice that you can go inline or stack. So if I choose stack and I scroll down, you'll see that it is going to stack it the other way. So this is 3 ways of doing the same thing. Or you can choose inline, and that's how I like it, like this. The last thing we have to do is just change that logo. So let's click publish to save our work one more time, and we'll go back to widget 2. From here, all you have to do is click on the image and say replace image. And the last thing that I want to do is just add a little bit of space in between the two. So while we're editing this widget, you can actually click on the little design tab right here on the widget. And so when you click on it, it's going to open up some design settings for the image that we just placed, which is our logo. And so what you can do is unlink the values, and just like we did on different places of the website, you can just add a little bit of spacing to the bottom. So I'm going to add 50. And just one more thing, if you really want to increase the size of that image, you can click on the widget itself, and then you can click on the actual image itself, and you can change the size here. So it looks like I'm already using the biggest size. I could do a custom size and try and stretch it, but it's going to ruin the actual resolution of it. You could shrink it though if you want to. Just wanted to show you guys you can change that as well. Other than that, I love how my footer looks, so I'm just gonna click on publish to save my work. You can also edit the copyright and the powered by in the bottom by just clicking on it, and all it is just text, so you can just type right here. All right, guys, I'm gonna close out of this tab because we're done editing our header and footer. I'm gonna open up my website on a new tab just so I can preview what it looks like. So I've got my logo in the top left corner, which looks fantastic. And then my menu looks good over here as well. And then when I click on contact, it's gonna open up the contact page on a new tab. I can scroll on down to the bottom, and it's a very simple footer. I like it. So I'm gonna close out of this tab and go back to the dashboard. Now that we've finished editing our header and footer, we can move on to step number 8, which is mobile responsiveness. So what does mobile responsive mean, and why is it important for your website? Well, we just customized your website for the desktop view, which is a medium-sized rectangle view. But what about cell phones? More than half of your future clients are going to try and book their appointments with you on their smartphone while they're on the go. And a cell phone screen is a vertical rectangle. If we were to try and compress our entire website from a horizontal to a vertical, it's going to look different. So we have to check our mobile responsive mode, which we can do in Elementor. So in order to edit our mobile responsiveness, we're going to go back into Elementor and edit each page individually. So I'm going to open my site up on a new tab just like this, and then I'm going to go click on Edit with Elementor. Now that we're in Elementor, you're going to drop down to the bottom left corner. Right next to Preview Changes is going to be something called Responsive Mode. And when you click on it, you're going to see a tab or a ribbon open up on top. So you've got the desktop version, the tablet version, and the mobile version right here. So let's go ahead and click on the mobile version and double check. So right off the bat, you can see that the title is definitely not the correct size. So this is why we check the mobile version. Now, it's important to keep in mind that any changes you make on the mobile version will not affect the desktop version most of the time. There are a few things that will change over, but we can always know when we're about to change something that affects both versions. So let's go ahead and do this title section right here, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So we're going to go ahead and click on the blue pencil icon to edit this heading, which is the dual color heading. And so we're going to go over to the Style tab and then click on Typography. So we have to go down to Colors and Typography, if you guys remember. And then we're going to click on Typography right here. Now you'll notice that there's a little phone icon right next to Size. Anything that has this little smartphone symbol next to it means that whatever changes I make on the size will not affect the desktop version. And if you click on it, you'll see that I can choose between the three. But again, we're sticking to mobile right now. So on the mobile version, all I have to do is just reduce the size and it's going to compress correctly, just like that. Antonio Russo. Done. You can also adjust things like the letter spacing, and that also won't change the mobile version versus the desktop version. I think that's pretty good for this one. So let's go ahead and scroll through the entire website to make sure nothing else looks as bad as that heading right there. So I think everything looks good here. We scroll through and we've got the Start Your Recording Session Today, and this stacked appropriately. And keep in mind, because we downloaded a template from Astra Starter Templates, the templates are already built to be mobile responsive. So any changes we make are only gonna, every once in a while, affect the mobile version. For instance, when we changed this widget from a regular heading to a different widget entirely. So that's why we had to edit this one. So let's go ahead and take a look at the biography. I think that looks pretty good. One thing that we could change is, you'll notice that his face is over here on the left-hand side. So we could technically edit the section here. And let's check if we can do it. We'll go over to the Style tab. And for the background image, we're using the same image. Let's also see if the position, yes. So the position we can change on the mobile version and it will not affect the desktop version. So let's go ahead and choose custom, or we could try and do something like center left. Nope, too far over. So let's try center right. And he flies past the other way. So then I'm just gonna change it from center right. Let's try center center. Okay, that's not too bad. He's still a little bit on the right-hand side, but it's the best out of all of the other options. So now that we've changed this, we can scroll on down even further, and we've got the trusted by, which it looks like it took, instead of 3 options, down to 1 option on the mobile version, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So we're gonna scroll on down, and now we've got latest albums, and so you'll see now that everything is kind of offset in weird ways. So let's go ahead and affect this guy next. We're gonna go ahead and click on the pencil icon for this image, and we'll go over to the Advanced tab. And it looks like the padding for all of this text on the desktop version was over here, but now on the mobile version, it's different. So let's do the same thing for the image. You'll notice that margins and padding are, again, only edited on the mobile version, and it will not affect the desktop. So you'll see that right now it's grayed out because it's showing what it is on desktop, where we have the 100 on the left. But if we just change this, you'll notice that it goes away, and then I can go down to 0, and now it's perfect. So you'll end up doing that a lot. Let's do that for the same image down here. Okay, so that's the home page. Let's go ahead and click on Update to save our work. And let's move on to the portfolio page. And instead of going back to my dashboard and going over to Pages and opening up a new one, all I'm going to do is just click Preview Changes, jump over to the portfolio page, and then say Edit with Elementor. So now let's close out of the home page. And that's a fast way that you can jump between pages while you're editing them in Elementor. All right, so now we're on the portfolio page. We'll again go down to mobile responsiveness, and we'll choose the mobile version. The hero image actually looks fantastic. Now you can see the gold on the microphone, and then the actual gallery just compresses to be vertical. So it looks fantastic. We don't have to make any changes here. So let's go ahead and preview the changes again, and we'll move over to the contact page. Close out of both of the other tabs because it opens a new tab when you click on this button. And we'll say edit the contact page with Elementor. And we didn't make too big of changes on the contact page either, so when we go over to the responsive mode and then choose mobile, I kind of doubt anything's going to look bad. And yeah, I was right. So it all looks fantastic, actually. And the image is perfect. So the mobile version for this is good. So we'll close out of this tab. Now, the last thing that we have to do in order to make sure that we are mobile responsive is we also have to edit our header and our footer to be mobile responsive as well. Because right now we just did the pages that are in the center. So in order to do that, we're just going to go back to the Customize tab, just like we did when we were editing the header and footer. And from here, all we have to do is we're going to go back to the header builder. And you'll notice down here, we have the same responsiveness icon. So we've got desktop, tablet, and mobile. And so I'm going to click on the mobile version, and it's going to compress it into the mobile version. And you'll see that my logo is pretty big. And then it automatically gives a trigger with an off-canvas menu. And all that means is when you click on this guy, it's going to open up the off-canvas menu. Now, it looks like, here's another issue that we just caught. There's no contact button, because remember, the contact button is on the desktop version and not on the mobile version. So what we're going to have to do is we'll have to edit this off-canvas one to use a different menu. So let's go ahead and do that now. We're going to go back and do menus. And if you remember, for primary menu, that's the one that we're using on the header. So let's do the same thing as we did for footer menu, and we'll just do it as an off-canvas. So I'm going to say create new, and we'll say off-canvas menu, and we'll say that it's going to be the off-canvas menu right here. It's perfect. And all we have to do is click next, and then we'll say add items, and we'll do the same 3 pages that we have on our website. That's all we have to do. We'll close out of that guy and say publish to save. Now, to save some time, I'm just going to click on the pencil icon to go right back into editing my off-canvas menu. And you'll see that it's using a primary menu widget, so we're going to click on that guy. All right, and so if we click on our actual icon, you'll see it's still using it. So let's try refreshing the page first. Okay, and we'll drop down and make sure that we're selecting the smartphone version. Click on our icon. So it's still using the primary menu, no big deal. We'll click on the pencil icon to edit it. And then we're going to change the menu. So let's go ahead and click on the plus button, and we'll say we're going to use the off-canvas menu right here. And then we're just going to remove primary menu. Perfect. So now if we click on it, we've got the full menu ready to go. Awesome. So now I'm going to click on publish to save my work. Okay, the next thing I want to do is try and change the logo here. So I'm going to click on the pencil icon right here. So now we can change the size of the logo, and we're going to do that with logo width, which is the same thing as size. But also you're going to notice the smartphone icon, which means that whatever we change here on the mobile version isn't going to affect the desktop. So I'm just going to reduce the size a little bit. Perfect. I think that looks a lot better. So I'm going to click on publish to save. Okay, so now our mobile header is good to go. Let's check our mobile footer. Okay, so now we've got the mobile footer, and actually it looks fantastic. Everything just stacks on top of itself and it's good to go. So I'm actually not going to make any changes here. Now, I did notice one thing. It looks like when we open up the website in Astra's customizer, you'll notice that the text is still being compressed in a funny way. So that just means that maybe the screen width here is a little bit more narrow than it is on Elementor, which is good to know. So let's go ahead and close out of this, and we'll go open up the homepage one final time in Elementor, and we'll just shrink it up a little bit more. All right, back in Elementor, we're going to go over to mobile responsive mode, and we'll just shrink the text up just a little bit more. So maybe something like that. and we'll click on update. All right, so now we have completely edited our website. We've done it for the desktop version, for the mobile version. We've set up our header and footer. Everything's ready to go. Let's take one final look at the website just to get a feel for what we've done. What a clean looking website. I love this, especially that logo. I think it's the coolest thing with that cursive kind of overlapping over the text there. But we've got the full menu here with a button that's just screaming, contact me now. Then you scroll here and we've got the hero section, and I think it looks awesome with that video in the background. I love how the banner acts as kind of like something that's like slides up and kind of changes the background just like this. So I think that's really cool. And then we've got his picture in the background. This super cool carousel that's like showing off all the logos, and then the albums that he can work with as well. And then if we go over to the portfolio page, we've got an interactable gallery where he can click on anything and it'll take them straight to the link of that song. And again, this could be anything. Like you could do services here and then have this link to different pages on your website that just describe what that service is. All right, and then we'll go to the contact page. Nothing's changed here. It just looks fantastic, nice and clean and simple. And of course, you guys already know how to customize this however you need it. So I think it looks fantastic. If you haven't already started your own website, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the top left corner to get started today. If you want to learn how to make money with your new website, check out this video in the top right corner. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below.